when it comes to qualifying a bullish retracement pattern, everything you need to know is right here, again, in Module 3. So we're looking at Module 3, the bullish retracement. You just look right here at the learning objectives, and you got a little checklist here. Primary qualifications for the uptrend. We're going to look for bullish uptrends, liquidity, stock, and options. We want to see liquidity in both. Especially we're going to trade those options. Corrective retracements, important. We want to see technical catalysts, confirmation candles, signal candles. We also want to check for secondary confirmation qualifications like low volume during the pullback, maybe a confirmation with the MACD on like a 1-hour chart or a 30-minute chart. Market and sector correlation can be very important. Double checking implied volatility. Knowing when earnings is super important, and of course we'd rather trade something that's fundamentally strong. So those are the things that we're going into qualifying. Now the beautiful news for you here is not only do you have all the criteria and things you need to qualify your trade setups here, when you look at the scouting reports. So I'm looking here at the scouting reports, and we're looking at these chart setups here. Every one of these chart setups has a really nice looking pattern that we've pre-qualified and made sure that the stocks meet certain criteria. So ACM, for example, has got a nice little pullback. It looks like it's averaging at least 1.3 million shares per day, and it's in an uptrend. It's got higher highs and higher lows, and it's got a corrective retracement back down into an old support resistance zone. So I'm going to switch gears over here and look at BSX, another good looking candidate here, higher highs and higher lows, nice little pullback. So let's go in and run through our checklist here. I'll pop this one over into Thinkorswim. And so what we have here, what we're looking at right here, is we've got a nice looking bullish retracement. This stock averages about 8 million shares per day on average trading volume. And again, so we got a bullish uptrend, super liquid stock. Let's double check the options volume. And I've got the open interest laid out here on the chart, and you can see that there's several thousands of options being traded here for August. Out in November, you've got enough liquidity here, open interest in the hundreds in most of those, and you got this as the big standout. Somebody's speculating on that stock going up. So you got plenty of liquidity in the options. The other thing we look for is narrow bid-ask spreads. When I see, just 2 pennies between a bid-ask spread, or just, 5 pennies between a bid and an ask spread, that's pretty reasonable. And, the more liquid the options, the narrower the bid-ask spread. If bid-ask spreads get past like 10, 20, 30 cents, that just starts to get expensive for the trader. So we like narrow bid-ask spreads, means easy transactions at low cost. We also can check, again, make sure we got the pullback, that corrective retracement. So the stock pops to a nice new high, and then we see a nice orderly corrective retracement. This one's got 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in it. We've got a signal candle, this green candle saying, hey, look at me. I'm in an uptrend. I was going down for a couple of days, but I'm bullish again. I'm green today. And that happens in the right zone where we got those technical catalysts. Old resistance here could become new support. You got a rising 9-period moving average there in the purple line. Both of those are catalysts that could help the stock price go back up, because those are price points where people tend to buy. So we have a signal candle. We don't have a confirmation candle, so I wouldn't be able to score that on the chart. And again, qualifying the candidate is just part of that. Scoring the chart is part of that, and making sure you got good conditions and criteria. The volume's nice and low on the pullback, so we see that is not heavy selling. That is definitely some lighter volume on the trading. We could take the chart intraday and go study an intraday chart. I got a 1-hour chart here with a little pullback, and you can look for the bottoms to form here and for the price trend to start heading up again. And we could pop like a MACD indicator on there. Let me throw one on there. And what you look for on a MACD or an oscillator type indicator down here is you look for it to come down and start to cross back up. So you're looking for that cross back up. And sometimes it will cross down below the zero line and then come back up. Sometimes it will come down right to the zero line and then kiss back up. So those are beautiful confirmation. We can, of course, corroborate this with its sector. We can double check the fundamental analysis. One thing I did notice here that we should point out is earnings is it's a couple weeks out. So we have more than 2 weeks to place a trade. That's awesome. before the earnings comes out. And let's go check the fundamentals here. As you go look at the fundamentals, you can double check. This is a healthcare sector, and I can go look at what the healthcare sector chart looks like. Let's take a look at like the XLV healthcare, and my goodness, that's a pretty bullish looking chart pattern right there as well. So we've got a decent correlation with the healthcare sector. And again, fundamentally, I can get in and start to look at, let's get back to BSX. And you can double check, the fundamentals. You can look at those earnings per share and return on equities and all the different fundamental aspects that traders looking for. This has got a PE ratio. It's 34, a little overvalued fundamentally. But overall, I think some of these numbers look pretty decent, and that's what we'd like to see on our chart. So again, when we're qualifying our charts, we want to make sure that we have all of these conditions and criteria. So as you're going through these step systems, make sure you're making a checklist. Create a little checklist for yourself and check all the boxes. And the more things that the trade setups have, the merrier, and the higher the probability that you have a technical edge here that gives you a little timing and a technical edge where there's a good probability that this trend is going to persist for us. We see some upward movement here off of that pullback because that's a typical pattern when we see stocks pop to new highs and pull back in a nice orderly fashion, on the low volume. That's got a good chance of running back up. No guarantees, but that's what we're after when we are qualifying our charts.